it's Angela Dahlgren. Welcome back to another Facebook Live. I just got really distracted by this. That does not look good at all. I'm just gonna tuck that away right there. I'm gonna click on my phone to see if it helps with the brightness. It never does. Yeah, see, it never does. I don't know, I even have the blinds drawn. I talk about that every time. Brian is joining me today, so I'm going to invite him. Bring Brian. That's what I want to do. So I'll wait to add him, and then we'll get started. It'll be great. Still waiting, and I'm also going to go on my computer and pull up your comments so I can see you guys. Hi, Brian.
Hello.
How you
My
doing?
headphones caught and almost knocked over my whole camera.
Oh, I got to turn you up. I can't hear you very well. So, sorry, guys. You get to see
I wasn't near my microphone, so that probably helps too.
Hello, Andrew. I got your comment today, and so I'm going to address that because I think that this is a really common thing to worry about. So, ooh, Brian. Move your head. Let us see your map.
I know, right?
Look at that.
Hollywood Studios. Got Toy Story.
Did you go and get that printed?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, what's below Slinky?
Little alien guy.
Oh my gosh. Is this going to be for a video?
That is, yeah, I'm going to do a map video about how to deal with Hollywood Studios after Toy Story Land opens. And that will be out Monday. So I filmed it right before this, actually.
Stay tuned, you guys. That looks like fun. The maps are improving.
Dark. Yeah. Yes, I was told by the bosses to stop just printing black and white maps and just go get actual maps printed. So.
But I've read the comments, and so many people want a PDF of your maps.
I know. Yeah. It's basically the same map, except that I used to just print them in black and white and color in like certain things. But it also, depending on how well I did the coloring and which park, some of them were easier to see than others on camera. This one looks a lot better on camera. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Let's see who's joining us today. Hello, Danielle. Hello, Jean. Oh man, I just scrolled. Hi, Lori. Let's see, Dawn from Eau Claire, George, Angie. Angie, I got your question too. Zenobia likes the map, so does Andrew. And hello, Meredith.
Excuse me.
I am going to start off by plugging our podcast. Brian and I have a podcast that we really hardly ever talk about. We've talked about it a couple times here on Facebook Live. And I just wrote up a post about our latest episode on our blog, blog.touringplans.com. But what we want to know from you guys is, first of all, have you guys been listening to it? What do you think of it? And second, do you have any podcast ideas? We've done a listener's question episode before, which we really enjoyed doing. That was really fun. So if you have any podcast ideas for us, please leave them below, or you can email us at brian@touringplans.com or angela@touringplans.com, and we will look at those. What else was I going to say with that? I don't know. I think that was it. There's something else that I was going to say. It's gone now. Anyway, are you listening to it? Do you enjoy it? Do you have any topics for us? And then, yeah, who should we have on our show? That's a good question. Who would you like to have as a guest on our show? That's a good idea. Good question.
I imagine a lot of people are going to say Len, which we are working on.
We are working on.
We were supposed to do something with him last week, I think, but then he had to travel and we were busy, so we didn't actually do that. But soon we'll
get there. What do you want us to ask Glenn? What do you want us to talk to him about? There are all these questions that you could just ask, and we'll ask him. Write them below. Okay, so I want to look at your comments a little more. And then, yes, I just finished, or I'm almost finished with my coffee. So that's where this energy is coming from. And then I will get to Andrew's question because I really liked it. Okay, hello, Kathy. And hello, Paula. Hello from Gary. It's snowing there too. Yep, we got 5 or 6 inches this week already, and it's supposed to snow again Sunday. Brian, how much snow did you guys get?
Not much. We got, I think it ended up being I think 3 to 4 inches, but it was right at freezing when it was snowing, and it had been pretty warm the day before. So it was melting as it was falling. It was very weird. So it it built up from, because it snowed overnight. So it was pretty rough from like 4 until 7 or so in the morning. And then after that, it was melting faster than it was falling. So then everything just started by that afternoon, most of it was gone already, which at least was nice. But yeah, we might get another inch or two over the weekend, I think. I don't know. Right now it's like 30 degrees outside. It's awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's April and we're still getting snow. I'm kind of over it. But I've been told a few times that I ramble too much on these Facebook Lives. So I will get to the
really?
questions now.
They must never see the ones that I do by myself. I get to like 5 questions total because I talk so
They're
long.
like, you talk too much about personal things. Get to the information. So I will start answering your questions now before I get told off again. Okay. And George said we need to put the podcast up on Google Play. That's why
he's right. We do need to do that.
Thank you for addressing that. Ooh, I'm writing that down.
Yeah, so am I.
Okay, you write it down. I'll keep talking. Oh, hello, Beth. And Peter, write down Peter's question. How did Len begin touring plans? Because that would be a good question. Meredith said we're supposed to get snow Saturday, Sunday in New Jersey. So you guys are still getting snow too. And Jean wants to hear Sam Genoway on our podcast and Jim Hill. And lots of people are saying Len. And dining reviews as well, like Flame Tree Barbecue, which every time I walk past Flame Tree Barbecue, it smells amazing. So I definitely want to try that out. Okay, I'm liking your ideas. So Andrew's question that he posted yesterday, it's more of like a comment. So I know this may sound a little crazy, but I've done so much planning and preparation for my May trip that I can't stop thinking about the end instead of how much fun we'll have exploring the magic. I watch a ton of videos and think I may have overplanned if that's even possible. I'm about 38 days out now and I almost feel like I need a break from it. Have you heard of this before or am I just being crazy? I totally get where he's coming from. Brian, what are your thoughts about it? And then I'll kind of say what I think.
Yeah, I actually agree completely with him. I do the same thing when we, with every trip, not necessarily Disney World, when we first kind of plan it, I will, to try to figure out like the basics, how long we want to go and things like that. I'll try to get at least an idea of the kind of things we want to do. So I tend to read a lot about it and, try to come up with a basic plan. And then I kind of put it down. Like once we actually make the plans, I kind of put it down for a while. Because I used to do what he did. I would start already just going into, detailed plans. And I would burn out after a while. And the same thing, by the time you actually get to the trip, then you're like, okay, let's just get this over with. I've already been through this trip like 5 times by now. So at Disney World, it's tougher because you have to make, you have to plan for dining reservations 6 months away. You have to plan for fast passes 2 months away. So there's stages, but, not that it would necessarily help them with this particular trip, but in the future, I would say when you don't need to plan something, just put it down for a while. And then as it gets closer, once you have the dining reservations, you don't really need to do anything until, let's say, 2.5, 3 months out when you need to start looking for fast passes. And then you don't really need to do anything until a couple weeks ahead of time when you want to start getting your touring plans together and stuff. Oddly enough, Angela and I, the last podcast episode we did was with Aaron Foster, where we talked about what you need to plan and when. And in between those, there are gaps. And I would just say kind of don't look at it. You can still listen to podcasts or say watch Facebook Live conversations about theme parks just to stay up to date with what's if you enjoy it. But yeah, you don't really need to go detailed with it. Right now, I forget already how far away he said his trip is, May 13th. So yeah, a little over. I would say right now, just put it all down. Don't look at it for 2 or 3 more weeks. And then until it's time to start, getting your touring plans in order and stuff like that. And then once you do all that, just kind of let it go. And then when you get there, just trust that you have already planned all of it and you don't need to look at that stuff, and just try to enjoy everything that's there. But yeah, I'm totally with him. I have burned myself out big time on trips ahead by planning too much in advance.
I would agree. I think that this is actually why we're staying longer this year. I just linked the recent podcast episode, and I apologize for shaking my camera. I was turning Brian up so I could hear him better. That's why we decided to stay longer this time in September, because my husband, who's slowly becoming a Disney fan, I call him my Disney curmudgeon, because he always says that we go and we just do, and we pack so much in, and sometimes we'll do 2 parks in one day, and there's never any resting time, so he doesn't enjoy himself because we're overtired and we get crabby and we're just doing so many things that we come back from vacation and he feels like we didn't relax at all. So by staying longer this time, we are fitting in a pool day, we're fitting in a day at the beach, and we're kind of doing every other day stuff like that. And I know that not everyone has that luxury where you're doing maybe this is like your one big trip to Disney for the first time over like 5 years or something. So you want to go hard, and I completely understand that. But for us, this trip, why we're staying longer, is so that, we don't get overwhelmed. And so we can enjoy our time and not feel like we're rushing and getting in over our heads. So that's just kind of my side of it. And I think that if you just take a step back, maybe look over your plans. If there's something like, if you have an extra half day at, say, Magic Kingdom or Epcot, look at it. Do you really need to do that? Or do you want to, spend an afternoon at the pool? You can still change it. You still have 38 days. So just look at your itinerary. Again, you can still change things if you want, but otherwise just enjoy your trip. It sounds like you've done a lot of really good planning, and you'll have a great time. So good question. Good comment. Okay, Brian, did you see any questions that you wanted to go over?
I see. Jennifer just asked about making reservations for dinner, so that they are casual family and don't really care about a formal sit-down dinner. Do you, when you go to the park, do you always make reservations, Angela, or do you ever just kind of see what happens?
Okay, so my husband's side of the family, they are a reservation family.
Mm-hmm.
And then my side of the family is more of a casual eating side. Because they would rather go. So I've seen both sides of it. I used to be more of a reservation side, and I still am, just because I like to try new places. But I'm becoming more casual, just because my kids don't really want to sit through meals. So I don't know. I'm kind of transitioning. What about you?
We're kind of like you, where we used to make reservations, or I used to make the reservations for, we always have done a lot of character meals with the kids. They're starting to get out of that a little bit now, but now we'll let each of them pick one, so we'll do like 2 character meals. But when we went to Disneyland Paris in February, we didn't do any. We kind of looked at them, and neither of the kids asked about it, and we just didn't do it. So without the character meals anymore, we really don't make anything. We'll still eat occasionally at sit-down places, depending on what we're feeling, but I'll just look like that day, if we're staying in Epcot, I'll just kind of look through on my Disney Experience app and see what's available and see if anything sounds interesting. And if not, we'll just grab something, from a quick service instead, or go back to the hotel and eat, or, something like that. But yeah, if your family is already pretty casual, then Jennifer, I keep forgetting names today. If your family's already pretty casual, I wouldn't necessarily worry about it. Maybe glance through the list of restaurants and see if anything jumps out as something that like you guys would really want to do. If you want to do any character meals, I would definitely make reservations for those.
Right.
Anything special like Hoop-Dee-Doo Review, or like the hula show, the Aloha show at Polynesian, special things like that, you're gonna want reservations for and probably need them. But the regular table service meals, just see if you decide you want to when you're in the park, see what they have. There's usually at least some available, unless it's like a crazy busy time. But I don't think you need them per se.
I would say, with probably any Disney sit-down restaurant, unless you have an allergy or, you have different food needs or you're a picky eater, always look at the experience and the atmosphere first, and then look at the food menu.
Mm-hmm.
So, look at the character dining, like for like Teppanyaki in Japan, if you really like that teppanyaki, hibachi style entertainment, obviously look at that. Look at that experience first, because Disney does that really well with the restaurants, and then look at the menu and see if it's food that you're going to want to eat. Because otherwise the quick service is, most of the time the food's really good. And, you're going to be satisfied with that. Like Satuli Canteen, that food was delicious. The portions were small, but the food was delicious. And it was really fast service, and I could order from my phone, and it was fine. So you'll deal. Yeah. So my aunt actually left a question. She is there now with my cousin at Walt Disney World. And she wanted to know about Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. Now, I'm kind of wondering if those of you who know about it, and if you don't, I'll talk about it. Would you ever want to see a video on this? Or, epic, if Brian and I were ever at Walt Disney World together, should we film a video about this of us going around the park doing it? Or would that be really, really weird because we're two adults doing Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom? Look at Brian. He's like cringing right now. He's like, please don't make me do this.
I've never done it. It's never been particularly interesting to me. Even my kids, we've watched people do. We tried to get the kids to do it once, and they didn't want to. They love like the Agent P World Showcase adventure, loved it. And we did like part of the Pirates adventure in Adventureland. That one they liked, but it was kind of a busy day. It's similar to Agent P. They give you a map and you have to go to different spots in Adventureland, but it was really busy. And every time we went to the one, we did the first like two, but there was a line of like 4 people doing them. So then you see what the effect is and stuff already. And it just kind of got boring. So we stopped doing it, but.
Well, let's talk about what it is, because I had to like research this to describe it properly. So it's an interactive scavenger hunt at Magic Kingdom Park. So this is from the Disney website. You learn how to thwart the forces of evil by becoming Merlin's apprentice sorcerer. So Hades, who's the bad guy from Hercules, he's trying to find the missing shards of glass from Merlin's crystal ball so that he can make Magic Kingdom Park his summer home. And he's enlisting the help of all of like the bad Disney villains to like help him achieve this. And it's your job to stop them. So you go to the fire station at Main Street USA, and you get a sorcerer's key card, and you get spell cards, and you kind of get a briefing and a map, and you go around Magic Kingdom Park, and there are these, what are they called? They're called magic portals. So they're through Magic Kingdom, and you go to these portals, and you get to fight villains using these spell cards. So I don't know, maybe I described it poorly, but you can do as many of these missions and do as many of these portals as you want. There's up to 20. And then at the end, like, I think Merlin makes you a master sorcerer. I've done it once, and I did like one portal because I didn't have a lot of time. And when I go to Magic Kingdom, it's to do the rides or for work. So this is something that you would do, maybe if you have a free day or you're not really into the rides. I know a lot of people are into it, and they give away special spell cards for Halloween, for the Halloween parties and the Christmas parties. Brian, do they do that for Christmas?
I don't remember. Sorcerers is one of those things that was very popular when it started, and I think even Disney was not expecting that. And they were giving out all sorts of different cards, and now it's a little bit of a forgotten extra at Magic Kingdom. So I don't know what they're still giving out, whether they still do all the special edition cards or not. Now, like practically what Angela read is the kind of the story behind it. Practically what it is in different spots, some kind of hidden, some very not hidden. There are what almost look like window video screens in the Magic Kingdom, and you have different cards, and you just kind of hold the card up to it, and it does an animation, and then you move on. I've seen it done a lot. In fact, today when it first opened, it got to be very annoying because there were, and that might be part of my prejudice against it, is that there were certain walkways that were impossible to get through because there was a line of people waiting to use the magic portal that was stretched across the walkway, and you had to keep cutting through everybody because, again, they didn't expect it to be so popular. So they weren't expecting lines of like 25 people waiting to use a portal, but it was. So
This video would almost be more fun, Brian, if you were in it, because you would have this like grumpy cat face, and I would be
oh
so
yeah
excited, and I'd be like, "Put your spell card up to it," and you'd be like, and I'd be like jumping up and down. You would not care at all.
Yeah, speaking of Grumpy Brian videos, I'm actually going to be going to Halloween Horror Nights this year, the first one, September 14th, and I don't mind horror stuff, but I don't scare super easy, and I tend to just see that stuff as like, oh, it's actors running around. Like, I don't care if they're running at me with a fake chainsaw; it doesn't bother me. So that should be a really fun video because it will be a lot of sarcastic comments and eye rolling as there are like insane things happening behind me.
I am
So
so glad that you're filming that and I'm not, because I would be screaming the entire time. That sounds terrifying. I haven't done that. Oh.
do you ever watch? My daughter would love to go. Actually, she's wanted to go for years. She's only 9, but she loves that stuff. If it wasn't a little on the drunky side,
Yeah.
I might think about taking her. But do you ever watch Ellen DeGeneres every year for her show? She has one of her one of her staff. I don't remember exactly what he does. That is the same way, like terrified of that stuff, and she makes him go through one of the houses in Hollywood, and it's amazing. If you want like to Google some of the past videos, they're so funny. He just screams and and runs, and it's awesome. They're so funny.
That would be me. I would be terrified. I do not. I like haunted houses, but like they terrify me. It's like that fun scared, but I'm screaming the entire time. I like have to hold on to someone. It's ugh. Okay, someone asked about Pirate Adventures. I have not done Pirate Adventures, and actually I didn't even know about it until you just mentioned it right now.
Yeah, they don't really advertise it very much, which seems weird. It's more similar to the Agent P World Showcase adventure than the Sorcerers, where like you go to different parts of the park and kind of activate these, different things happen. There's not that many, I don't remember how many there actually are, but it's only really in Adventureland and Magic Kingdom. So there's a handful of different things you go through. They used to, when you've completed it, they used to give you like an anytime fast pass. I don't think they do anymore. In fact, I'm almost positive they don't now. But it's another, like Sorcerers, it's one of those fun things if you're on a longer trip or if you've been there a lot. Then it's one of those nice things to do that you kind of get to see different parts of Adventureland than you would, because they try to tuck that stuff into little corners and things like that. So that's fun. That's one of the things I like with the Agent P stuff too, is it gets you really into some of those areas of World Showcase that you wouldn't always see.
I haven't done that either, and I'd like to. And with the Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, you get to keep those spell cards. And then, like I said, for the Halloween party, they have special edition ones, which I know a lot of people, make sure you go and get that because a lot of people collect them. Oh, and Alicia is digging your Triforce shirt. Right?
Thank you, Alicia.
Jeff said, Angela, great video the other day of the Dole Whip versus Citrus Swirl. Oh, I really enjoyed it. Oh, thank you, Jeff.
That was very funny.
Oh my gosh, I had to like do the epic trailer at the beginning because I was so excited to make this video that I'm like, I'm doing it right. This is a showdown.
So have you decided what your next showdown is going to be?
Well, my husband's like the analyzer, and he's very methodical and logical with his thinking. And so we were talking about different treat ideas because someone suggested like the premium Mickey bar versus the Mickey ice cream sandwich. And he's like, next time you do this, you have to have a rating scale, because I force him to watch my videos sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you can't just like have an X, for a voting system like you did in this video. You have to have like a like a checklist. You have to rate it on different things like flavor. And, so now like
He sounds like he should work for Touring Plans.
I know. I feel like if I'm going to do this and make this a series, now I have to have a rating system, because I can't just say which I like better. Now I have to have reasons behind it. So it's a little more stressful. But I think
I think it depends what it is, because you have to find enough reasonable categories to describe something. I'm not sure I could come up with more than a couple, like 2 or 3 things to describe with a Dole Whip to determine which I liked better. And honestly, every time I've done, I used to, when I wrote more blog posts, I used to do stuff like that every once in a while where I'd rank things. And I always purposely picked categories so that the ones I liked better would win anyway. So
you rigged it.
Of course, yeah. But
how do you do that with like the Mickey bar versus the Mickey sandwich? Like they're so similar. It just comes down to texture, really.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just kind of personal preference, I think. So
the good thing is that I have hardly tried any Disney snacks. I really haven't. I mean, I've tried the turkey leg and I've tried the popcorn, and that's it. And now the Dole Whip and the citrus swirl. So I have a lot of treats that I could do with this.
Actually, a couple. Beth and Candace there jumped in with a few. Candace says school bread versus cronut, and Beth said cheese stuffed pretzel versus caramel stuffed pretzel. That's good, but they actually made me think of something else. You could just and I see Andrew check the chocolate croissant and cinnamon roll at Gaston's. And he also suggested the pretzel showdowns. So, but I think you could. What would be fun too is kind of put up polls of like the best, the best snack in each park, and have and then you just whatever wins the poll, you try like all 4 of them and see like which park has like the best snack, or you do it like a tournament series and you pick like 3 or 4 things in the Magic Kingdom,
like make
3,
brackets.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 in Epcot, and then you just take the winners of those and put them like against each other, and do it that way. So there you go. That'll get, if you do brackets, you could get like 10 videos out of that.
I'm like really excited to try all these things too, because I haven't tried anything. I'm like the perfect guinea pig.
See, I'm not really a sweets person, so I'll do all the alcoholic drink comparisons. Although if you're gonna make funny faces every time you take an alcoholic drink, then maybe you should do them.
I know, it'll just be like you shaking your head like weak, and me just be like, oh, don't make me do it again. Okay, Kathy said, what are you hearing about soft openings or park pass holder previews for Toy Story Land, if anything? We will be there the week before opening. Brian, you had a really good answer to this a couple weeks ago, or when we did a podcast episode, so I'll let you answer it.
Yeah, it's looking better. They are doing the media preview is sometime at the end of June. I don't remember the exact date, like the 27th, 28th, somewhere in there is what I've heard. And if they do it like they did Pandora and New Fantasyland, the media preview will be the last one. So they will do cast member previews probably first, and then they'll do annual pass holder previews or DVC previews and stuff. They end up, for Pandora, they did like 12 different previews. So if they do something like that again, presumably those would be starting like mid-June at least. So if you're there like that week before, I'd say there's a decent chance that there will be some sort of opening. They may not just do a straight up soft opening for everyone to come in, but there may be other previews or things that you could sign up, or depending on how close, I would imagine by like the 26th, 27th of June, they're probably going to be doing some soft openings. And they have to, the reason they do all these previews is because the cast members need to be like fully trained on how everything works. then they need to figure out how many people they can actually get through the attractions, because that makes a big difference. So that's kind of why they have to do stuff like this. If they just open the doors, it could be a huge mess. So it's not unheard of that they'll start doing soft openings, especially if you're there after like June 21st or so, I would say.
Well, and I know that we have a few bloggers who are going to try to get some soft opening footage for you. I know Brian's going to put together a video when we get that footage, just kind of for what to expect. Unless I'm making that up. I swear you said you were going to do that. Well, now you are.
For what?
For Toy Story Land, once we get that soft opening footage.
Oh yeah. Once we get some footage, we'll do some. One of us will do a video overview of what it looks like and that kind of stuff. As far as what to expect at the park, that will be out Monday. That's what that is.
And
so,
then
there's Toy Story Land.
With the Slinky, and then I'm going July 1st. I will go to Hollywood Studios, and I will get some day after footage for you, so you can see the craziness. I will be there in the afternoon. So you'll be able to see that. And yeah, so stay tuned. We have some questions. We have a writer swap question from Justin. Let's see. When using writer swap in the standby line, do you approach a cast member first before getting in line, or does the entire party wait in line first until they get to the standby entrance? I've only ever used writer swap when we've had a fast pass. So for writer swap, you guys wait in line, and then when you get to the first cast member, you tell them that you want to use writer swap, and they will give you a pass for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would tell the one that's standing outside too, because depending on the attraction and the cast members, sometimes they won't even. In fact, I've had it a lot of times actually where they don't even make the other people wait in line at all with you. They just tell you, okay, go ahead, tell the next cast member or tell the one right before you get on the ride, or they'll tell you who to tell, and then they'll just hand you the pass. So I would definitely, just every cast member you see, start telling them that you want the rider swap until they explain to you what to do. They used to make everybody wait, and then there would be, I remember Tower of Terror used to do this, where you'd have to kind of go through the line, and then there was just a little area near where the elevator unloads that you would wait, and then when you would meet your family there, and then they would put whoever was waiting immediately on the ride. Now they just use the Fast Pass Plus lane, and they give you basically a Fast Pass Plus. One thing to remember too with that, the rider swap ticket is good all day. It's not timed like a Fast Pass. So if you don't want to do it twice in a row, or if, say, hypothetically, one adult didn't want to do it at all, but the other one wanted to do it twice, you can just go back on. Like the rider swap is not tied to your Magic Band in any way. So,
also, someone near where Justin asked this question, Kate said, how long are your visits to Walt Disney World, and how often do you go? Brian, take your drink and then answer the question, please.
Well, it's a little bit different for us because we do go for work purposes more often than most, I would say. Anyone almost. So like this year I'll be at Disney World 3 times. Last year I was there, I think 4 maybe. But with my family, we usually do one Disney trip a year is all. And the timing kind of changes depending. Now this year with the family trip, we're actually going to California to Disneyland. So there we're gonna be there like 4.5, 5 days, because Disneyland only has the 2 parks, so you don't need a ton of time. For Disney World, it just kind of depends. We've gone for as short. I think 5 days is about the least amount of time we've gone to Disney World. Last year we actually drove down and stayed 2 weeks, just because we kind of could. We had the time to do it. So amount of time goes in and out, and a lot of that just depends on how often you're there. If like us, you're there every year or multiple times a year, you don't need to do everything all the time. If you're only going once in 5 years, in 10 years, you're probably going to want to go for at least a week, because then you're going to want to see as much as you can.
Absolutely.
But how about you? I think you take more personal trips to Disney World than I do.
We do, but it's because we have family there.
Yeah.
So we're going to see family. I would say that we for sure go once a year, but it's normally there's a second trip kind of planned last minute. That's a lot shorter. So we'll definitely do one trip that's about 5, maybe 6 days, and then we'll have a second trip that's like 4. So we never go for super long, but again, it's to see family, and they live, 25 minutes from Disney World. So, we're there, and they're annual pass holders as well, and DVC members. So a lot of times we'll do like a DVC resort, stuff like that, and then we'll make, a vacation out of it, and then we get to spend time with them. So that's a big reason why we go. And then this year, because of our work trips, in total, I will be going 4 times this year. So yeah, it's going to be a big year, and 5 times to Florida, because we're going to go to Sanibel Island in May. So
Nice.
it's like
Yeah,
a big Florida year.
Yeah, where see me, it's my Disney park year, because I'll be in World 3 times, Disneyland once, and I was in Disneyland Paris once this year. So
that's right.
it's an odd year for me. That doesn't usually happen, but
such a glamorous life. Disneyland Paris, I want to try that. I want to go to the Asia parks. I know Daisy Lauren, one of our bloggers, and she runs our Instagram page. She's fabulous. She just went to, I think, Shanghai Disney, Tokyo Disney, and I think Hong Kong Disney.
Hong Kong, yep.
And her pictures are amazing. So definitely follow us on our Instagram page. It's Touring Plans on Instagram. And I think she did all of them recently. And oh my gosh, I want to go to those parks so badly. I can't choose. Like, I really want to go to either Shanghai or Tokyo Disneyland, and I don't know which I want to go to. Where, I don't know. They just look like
from what I've heard, Tokyo is the one to go to if you're just going to one.
Yeah.
I've never been to any of the Asian parks.
I haven't either. They look like so much fun. Someday I will put it on my bucket list. Let's get to more of your questions that you guys asked yesterday. Jessica said, any idea what is going on Magic Kingdom Park on September 27th? It's not a Halloween party night, but it's closing early. There's nowhere to eat for dinner. I noticed the same thing, Jessica. I'm going to be at Disney World, Walt Disney World over that time, and I've also been trying to make dining reservations at Magic Kingdom, and it closes at 6. I just looked that up today. The park closes at 6 p.m. on the 27th, and you're right, there's not a party on that date, so what I'm guessing is that it's probably a private event. So that's why it's closing at 6. So now
they may change it it's still 6 months away. So in 3 or 4 months they may update it, and it may close. It may not close until 9. That happens sometimes. But yeah, it's probably a private event or something.
Which is a bummer, because that was going to be our happily ever after fireworks night. So now I have to shift things around a little bit. Brian, do you have any other questions that you see?
Yeah, I've got one. Well, and I see Bridget asked if it was a faith night, the night of joy, I assume she means. I doubt it. It could be. They haven't said anything about Night of Joy yet this year. I've heard kind of faint rumors that they might not be doing it at all. The last, I think, 2 years, they did it at Wide World of Sports, I believe, instead of Magic Kingdom. But before that, it's always been kind of in the beginning. It's been like the first Friday, like Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday, I think it is, in September. So that would be kind of late for it. But it could be. If it's that, they should be announcing it pretty soon. But we don't know. Yeah, it's something like that at least. Let's see. Stephanie yesterday asked, or earlier this morning, I'm not sure when you posted this, but she had 2 questions actually, both good ones. She said if having an adjoining room is their top priority, and they did a request at the time of booking, should both parties use the room request fax? she's talking about the room request feature that we have on touringplans.com, where you can put in your room reservations and or your reservation number, and we will fax, and yes, actually fax a request to the hotel, and it works pretty good most of the time. I seem to have a worse percentage of getting my rooms than the average, but even mine is like 50-50. So but I would say in that case, yes, it's not going to hurt to fax them. What I would do if both people are Touring Plan subscribers and can fax it, just put after you make your room request, there will be a button on your dashboard that says configure fax. In there, you can kind of add a note, put the other person's confirmation number and name in there, so that they can attach them and then do the same on theirs. If they're not a subscriber, what you can actually do is create 2 trips on your dashboard that are for the same dates and request both rooms connecting to each other. I've done that actually traveling with my parents a few times, and it's worked every time. They actually, if you request connecting rooms, they have to give them to you, especially if you have small children with you. The theory there is that, there are times if there are families of like 5 or 6 people, 2 adults and like 3 or 4 kids, that the kids may be staying in the connecting room by themselves, or you're splitting up a family. So Disney will always give you connecting rooms. It may not be the location you want, but they will be connecting. So definitely, request them as many times as you can, because you want them to see that.
And then second question.
She asked, they have an 8 a.m. Tusker House reservation at Animal Kingdom. Should they try to head straight to Navi River Journey and get a fast pass for Flight of Passage? Yes, you should. You should always try to get a fast pass for Flight of Passage. Just always. They're very hard to get, so if you can get one, take it. And it says if they do Navi River Journey, will they need a fast pass for the safari afterwards? Probably not. If you get what I would try to do is get a fast pass for Flight of Passage at 9 a.m. and then do Navi River Journey first, ride Flight of Passage with the fast pass, then go straight to the safari. Should be fine. You won't wait that long. If you can't get the Flight of Passage fast pass, then it gets tricky, because by the time you get out, unless you eat like super fast, and I mean are out of Tusker House by like 8:30 in the morning or before, you're going to be behind a ton of people, and they're probably already going to be running Flight of Passage by 8:35-ish or so. So you're already going to be looking at probably a 45-minute line or longer. If you don't get there till 9, it'll probably be an hour and a half line. So in that case, then I would say just skip Flight of Passage and try to do it like later in the day. But yeah, always try to get Flight of Passage fast pass.
Jennifer had a question about Toy Story Land. She wants to know if it's included with park hopper passes. So with a Disney ticket, with Walt Disney World ticket, you can add the park hopper pass, which means that you can enter multiple parks in one day, that being the 4 main parks. Toy Story Land is in Disney's Hollywood Studios, so yes, that would be included. So yes, you can use your park hopper at Disney's Hollywood Studios and enter Toy Story Land. So that, I hope that answers your question. And we also had a question about Disneyland Max Pass from Kathy. She said, if a person on your list does not want to ride something, can you leave them out, or does it only do everyone on the list? So Max Pass is like Disneyland's version of Fast Pass that you can purchase and make them on your phone instead of having to go around to the kiosks and print them out. So yes, every time you go to make a fast pass using that Max Pass system on your phone, you can select and unselect who you want from your list. So I hope that answers your question, Kathy. That was a good question.
And remember with Max Pass that everyone in your party has to pay the $10 a day for it. You can't just pay for yourself and then make fast pass or max pass reservations for your friends and family. Everyone has to pay for it. So just always a heads up I like to give, because even I'm still kind of surprised they do that. I'm not sure when I go to Disneyland, I'm not sure if I'm going to want to pay like $60 for everyone in my family to
Yeah,
use Max Pass every day, but
that's a
we'll
lot. I
see.
mean, per day, that really adds up, even if you do get access to PhotoPass downloads. Maybe
Yeah,
that would get more worth it.
that's true. Yeah.
Now, Meredith asked this question yesterday and today. Brian, we don't have a ton of experience with the fireworks dessert parties. Have you done one?
I have done the one in the Magic Kingdom. I think that's the only one at Disney World. I did the World of Color one at Disneyland once too, but
Oh, that's fun. Her question is, she's trying to decide which fireworks dessert party to do. And this is when we kind of look to you guys who are watching, because you've done more fireworks dessert parties than we have. She wants to know which one is more worth it, which one is of more value. She's looking at the Fantasmic one at Hollywood Studios, the Star Wars dessert party also at Hollywood Studios, and the Happily Ever After one. Can you recommend a favorite? For me, it would just come down to my favorite fireworks, because I'm not, well, I guess Brian's not either. We're not really dessert people. But if you could give us your suggestions on, if you've done the dessert parties, what your favorite desserts are, which ones you think were worth the money. And as far as viewing location, please leave your comments right here so that Meredith can see what her options are and make a decision that's best for her.
it looks like I just had to look up a picture of where the viewing area was for the Star Wars ones. It looks like it's in a pretty decent spot. Like all of them, they're all a little bit off center always, but they try to make sure you have a pretty clear view of it. So it looks like it's kind of like facing the Chinese theater. It's just like kind of off to the left, which wouldn't be a bad spot at all, I don't think, for that. One thing you have to remember with both the Star Wars Galactic Spectacular and the Happily Ever After at Magic Kingdom, they rely heavily on projection on the buildings as well. So it is kind of important to be close enough that you can see it. So, which is why I would recommend one of those two. I don't Phantasmic. I don't know that. I don't think you gain that much from being the dessert party. You're better off just getting there a little bit early and getting a decent seat. But you can see from pretty much anywhere in that theater there. The Happily Ever After fireworks in Magic Kingdom, there's a lot of space between the hub and Main Street, but if you're pretty far, if you're like halfway back on Main Street, which is where I tend to stand for fireworks there, it is a little bit tough to see all the projections on the castle. Same with the Star Wars. If you're on Hollywood Boulevard, like halfway back, it's not always the easiest. And the ones at Hollywood Studios are real wide, so you lose some of the projections on the edges. So I would say one of those two definitely. I would lean probably like she is to the Star Wars ones, just because I think it's a little bit more important to have a better viewing spot there than Happily Ever After. I always feel like I can get a spot like towards the back of the hub, front of Main Street, like just not a great spot. I'm looking over people's heads, but enough that I can see. Without it being a huge deal. The spot where they do the fireworks dessert party for Magic Kingdom is the Tomorrowland Terrace area, so it's off to the side. There are some trees that kind of create a little bit of a blockage, and you're very off center. More so it looks like than the Star Wars ones are. So I would probably go Star Wars if I'm picking one based on the viewing platform. At least the desserts, I imagine, are all pretty much the same.
Well, and just from talking to you guys on Facebook during these lives before, a lot of you have said how much you enjoy the Star Wars one. Just with the whole experience, being escorted by the stormtroopers and stuff like that. Almost all of you who have done that have said how worth it is. So, yeah, I would agree with that.
That's like all the fireworks dessert parties. seem to be, in fact, a lot of that kind of stuff, those like, you know, light VIP experiences, I'll say, where, you know, it's not just you, but it's a small enough crowd that you feel special.
Yeah.
They're always super expensive, but when you're actually there and doing them, it kind of feels worth it, if that makes sense. It never feels worth it when you're paying for it. But when you're like, the World of Color dessert party was crazy expensive. I don't remember exactly how much that cost, but it was several $100s for my family of 4. But we actually got the way World of Color viewing works. There's no seating at all. There's not really anywhere to sit. It's all kind of in these terraces in around the lagoon in California Adventure, and people will get there like an hour and a half early so they can get down into like the best seating. And even if you do the the dining package, where you only just get to get in one of the better sections, and you're still kind of fighting for position within that section and stuff, or the dessert party, you're actually sitting at like a high top table up on one of the terraces, so you just get to sit there and you see straight over everybody. You don't have anyone in front of you. You get to sit through the whole thing. They bring you the desserts, they bring you drinks. That one actually includes like one alcoholic drink even. So it was like, I forget how much, it was like $350 or something insane for the 4 of us to do it. But as we were sitting there watching, it was like, oh, I'm really glad we did this. You know?
Okay. Well, now I have to ask, would you guys ever want us to do a video on a dessert party? Because we do get a lot of questions about it. Pretty much I think we get a question every Facebook Live about the dessert party. So would you guys want us to do a video review so you can see what it's about? Because
it might not be a bad idea, actually. Yeah.
I would happily volunteer to do one around Christmas time when I'm there. So just let us know.
I might leave that one for you. I think I'm pretty busy the next couple times I'm going.
Yeah.
I'll be
Brian's got a lot to cover. He has you're going
for those planning fall vacations already. Yeah, I'll be at the first Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, August 17th, which still sounds insane that it is August 17th.
So early.
I will be at the first Halloween Horror Nights at Universal in September. I'm also going to be, that same weekend in August is the weekend that Aventura Hotel at Universal opens. Theoretically, it may actually open before that, but I'll be there that weekend. So I'll be bouncing mid-August, mid-September. I'll be bouncing around Disney and Universal a couple weekends. So, and then Angela will be there in the end of September, and then November, and
then maybe around Festival of the Arts. We haven't figured out.
Yeah, that's next year. We're not there yet.
Oh my gosh, we have to get through this year first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will be there July, September, and November. So whatever you guys want us to cover, let us know, and we will put up a poll for.
And I'll be in California at the end of October. So.
Oh, that's right. I didn't know when that was. I should have asked.
I'll probably be going to a Mickey's Halloween party there, actually. So.
I have to film that. I want to see.
I probably won't. That's for my daughter's birthday, so I probably won't be filming a lot. But I'll do some. I have to do some videos with Guy Salga while I'm out there. It's a crime to go to Disneyland and not hang out with Guy Salga. So literally a crime. I think it's a felony now. So.
Well, I don't get to film with anyone. Not that I'm bitter about it. I'm trying to get Derek Bergen to film with me, and you should see how much I pester him on Twitter. Maybe some of you guys do. I'm always trying to get him to do a video with me, and he just ignores me the whole time. One of these days, I will get him on camera. There was a question that I kept looking over here because I didn't want to lose it. Let's down here. Okay. So for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, this is from Kelly. Can you use a fast pass from 4 to 6? I only have a party ticket. So no, if you only have a party ticket, then you can't make a fast pass. You need a park ticket to do that. But the party ticket will get you in at 4 p.m. even though the party doesn't start till 6 p.m. So you can be in the park from 4 p.m. until midnight with a hard ticket event.
Can you not used to be able to make fast passes with party tickets? But
really?
I think you're right. I feel like they may have closed that, because what people were doing then was making like 6 fast passes for that day on the regular ticket and the party ticket. So they may it's possible they stopped that, but I'm not sure. I would certainly try See if see if it lets you.
See if you can still do it.
Um,
Let us know.
but and I saw we had another Halloween party question in here.
Ryan, you
Peggy,
should try it in August.
I should actually. Yeah, once I get my ticket, they yes, you still have to call for tickets at the moment and for the next like week. So I don't really want to call, so I'm just waiting till they go on sale online.
So
Um,
much work.
yeah.
Oh,
And my annual pass expired, so I can't make any fast passes at the moment. But Peggy asked, is it worth it to ride rides during the Halloween party, or better just to focus on the characters and parades?
it
They
depends.
and what else? They have 7 people going, ages 10 to 42. So what do you think about this? Because I have my opinion, but I would like to hear yours before I
Well,
rant.
it depends like what your priority is. You know, the characters are a really big thing. Was she talking about the Halloween party?
Yes. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it applies to both for the
yeah.
most part. Yeah.
The characters are a really big draw for these parties because a lot of them come out that aren't normally seen during the year. Like the Seven Dwarfs are a big one, Jack Skellington and Sally, Captain Jack Sparrow, um, those kind of characters that you just don't see a lot. You know,
Hmm.
Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. So if that's a big thing, if meeting characters are a big thing, then that's going to want to be your focus over the rides. Also, the specialty fireworks for those parties, you don't see those any other time of year. Same with the parades.
Hmm.
And you do not want to miss the parades. Those are amazing. You don't want to miss the fireworks. So I would pick those over the
Hmm.
rides. But, you know, if you don't care about the characters, then do that instead of waiting in line to meet the characters. But if you do want to meet the characters, get in line early. Some people will get in line at 5:30 when you don't start meeting characters till like 7. So that's what I think.
Yeah, the characters. I think I don't remember when they come out. I think it's before 7. But yeah, if there are, I agree completely with everything you just said. Um, I would definitely not necessarily focus on the attractions. Um, but if there are certain attractions that you really want to ride or ride again, or are having, Seven Doors Mine Train is a big one. The wait for that will be much lower during the Halloween or Christmas parties than it will during a regular day, other than first thing in the morning. So something like that wouldn't be a bad idea. I wouldn't use the parties as a time to ride rides.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if if you want to do that, I would wait for like a Disney After Hours event instead. I did do a video on that, and it's around the same price as a party, give or take, but it's only the rides and there are no lines. So I would do something like that instead. They won't come up again until maybe the fall, maybe not until next January. But the parties, what's great about the parties is the rare characters, if you like that. The parades and the fireworks are fantastic, especially the
Mm-hmm.
Halloween ones. They are probably
So
the
good.
Halloween parade and fireworks are probably the best parade and fireworks that Disney does. So do that stuff instead. If you want to ride a couple things, then by all means, the wait times are low. But yeah, it's just not the best use of the ticket if you're just going to ride rides.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned this because I was trying to look at comments, but
Hmm.
you can always do rides after the fireworks or after if you don't want to do
Yeah.
the second parade. If you've already seen the first and you're like, okay, I saw it, I'm done, then ride rides during the second parade, and I mean the party goes till midnight, so you have all that time afterwards. So that's there's that. Um, Aaron said, "What's the best way to get from Orlando from the airport to the Universal hotels? Uber, Lyft, the shuttle." It kind of depends how many people are in your party and how much like how much you want to spend, how much time you have. So like if there's only one or two of you and you have some extra time and you want to do it cheaply, you can always take a shuttle. Uh, if you want to save time, you can do a cab. It's going to be more expensive, but you can do that. You can take a taxi. But Uber and Lyft is definitely getting a lot more popular. But for Uber, only Uber Select and Uber Family will pick you up from the airport. So, and don't those cost a little more, Brian?
Yeah, it's a little bit more. Um, I still think it's better. I still like Lyft or Uber. Um, to get from anywhere to Universal Studios. Actually,
Yeah.
when I go from Disney, that's usually how I do it too. It tends to be the cheapest option. It's usually really fast to pick you up. That's one of the things I don't. Now, from the airport, a taxi would be fine. They'll be there anyway. From like Disney World to Universal, sometimes the taxis take like a half an hour to get there, and it always bugs me. Where if I call Lyft, they're there in like 5 minutes. So, um, but but yeah, any of those are fine. Like you said, it also might depend whether you need like car seats, because a lot of times, it's only certain Ubers that will have car seats and stuff. So a lot of it depends. If it's 4 people or less with not a ton of luggage, I would just go with Lyft or Uber.
Okay. Well, that's a good question for me because I am staying at a Hilton on Disney property, but we're doing 2 days at Disney and 1 day at Orlando, Universal Orlando. So I
Which
kind of
Hilton? Which Hilton are you staying at?
it's not, is it the
One of the
Hilton?
Disney Springs ones?
I think it's like the Hilton, like Tuscany or something. Tuscany.
Oh, okay. So right, okay, all right.
It's
Just
not like the
curious.
super close one. It's not like
Oh,
the
okay.
one that's right by Disney
I,
Springs.
I, I thought maybe it was one of the Disney, because there's like 3 of them near Disney Springs now.
Yeah,
So I was just curious, but
yeah. It's so I was trying to figure out the same thing. So I thought that was a good question to answer. Let's see. It's almost. Is it? Has it been an hour? Yeah, about
did you?
that.
Yeah.
We'll answer a few more questions. Is there any from our comments that you want to answer before we finish up here? Let's take a quick look.
I hadn't actually been looking. A lot of good comments.
I'll answer one
But
while you take a look.
okay.
Holly had a question about her touring plan and kind of, what to do with it and optimizing stuff like that. If you ever have questions about our website and about touring plans and just anything on our website, you can always ask your question at help.touringplans.com. That's what it's there for. It's for any troubleshooting or anything that has to do with our tools. So I just wanted to say that, and I can also write that in the comments. It's help.touringplans.com. So any questions with our website, our features, our tools, you can always ask questions there. Also, someone wanted to know about Garden Grill and whether they use powdered eggs or not.
I saw that one.
I thought this was a really interesting question. Oh, so can someone go taste test breakfast at Garden Grill, trying to figure out if the eggs are powdered or real? I'd be really surprised if the eggs were powdered, just because of the reputation of Garden Grill. Everything is fresh, and the vegetables and the fruit are, grown on Disney property because of living with the land. It's all kind of grown there and brought, to the table. So I'd be really surprised if the eggs were not, harvested, and brought straight to the table. It's possible that they're powdered, but it doesn't really go with the whole theming and atmosphere of Garden Grill. But like I said, it's possible. I would just be really surprised if they were powdered, but I'm not sure. So if you know if the eggs at Garden Grill are powdered, please let Sharon know in the comments.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. None of the eggs on Disney property are ever great, but I don't find them terrible either.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think I find it hard to believe the Garden Grill ones would be powdered, just because so much of that is based on locally sourced food. But who knows? I couldn't tell you. I don't find that much of a difference between there. She said the Tusker House ones tasted a lot better. I don't know if I would agree with that. I think they all taste pretty much just the standard scrambled eggs that you get at like hotel breakfasts and things,
And it could have been that day too. Who knows?
Could have been. Maybe they ran it. Maybe their chickens weren't cooperating and they had to go with powdered eggs. You never know.
Just blame the chickens, Brian.
When in doubt, blame chickens.
That's
my life. That's my life's motto.
Exactly. I think it's everyone's. Okay, we'll do one more question in our comment section, and then we will wrap it up here. Which one do you want to do, Brian? You choose.
Oh boy, I haven't been paying. I was actually listening to you talk for once, and I wasn't actually looking. Well, Andrew just asked, because we were talking about after hours. He asked if we knew if there were any more planned dates. Not for the time being. The problem with after hours at the Magic Kingdom is because they kind of need the park to close by at least 9 in order to do it. I mean, I guess with like a 10 o'clock closing, they probably could do it from like, 10 to midnight or 10 to 1 a.m. Like, honestly, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 hours up right now. I think it was 3. So, they could do it, but they don't seem to ever do them when the park closes anytime after 9 p.m., which this time of year it never does. Like, it's almost always open till 10 or 11 all summer. In the past, they've done it for 2 years now, and they've only ever done them in like September, October, January, February, March, basically. And this past year, I think they only did it January through March. I don't even think they did the fall ones. So, at the very soonest, you'd be looking at the fall, most likely not until January. So, which is unfortunate. They do the Morning Magic one. They're doing that through the summer, because that is from 7:45 until basically 9 when the park opens. But so that they can do on more days, but that's only Fantasyland, and it's only like 3 rides. So that's not the same as the after hours event, unfortunately.
And if
Although
you
I didn't know that when I was filming the video, obviously.
You have to watch these. You have to watch these videos that Brian did if you want to learn more about those events, because he did go to both in one trip. He was exhausted after him, but you have to watch because he did get lost. Was it the nighttime one?
No, the Morning Magic.
The Morning Magic.
Well, I didn't, because with the hard ticket events, I try not to go into like too much detail looking at them, because part of what I want to check is how intuitive they are, and how much the average Disney guest who maybe didn't research everything can figure out what to do. And Morning Magic, I did a little too little research, and
it was early.
Yeah, well, it was the end of the weekend, it was a long weekend. I was very tired, and it didn't sink into my head that it was literally called Fantasyland Early Morning Magic. So I just wandered into Liberty Square at one point, wondering why no one was there and none of the attractions were open, until finally a cast member was like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" So that was interesting, but I figured it out after an hour or so.
And it made for really funny content too. So we will link both of those videos below. And any questions we didn't get to, I will look through and answer. Also, we do normally post these to our YouTube page, which is just touring plans on YouTube. And sometimes we will have them as a bonus on our podcast. So be sure to look for those if you are watching on YouTube or our podcast. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us, and we will try to see you next Thursday. Take care, guys.
Thank you.